When you have been lied about for a series of years, how hurtful that is.
Stop scrolling, because this is the video you have been looking for. Harry and Meghan have finally been caught red-handed. The Archewell Foundation hasn't just been flagged for a late fee. According to official documents, it was effectively handed a death warrant by the state of California. Imagine waking up to find your bank accounts frozen and your reputation shattered. That is the reality Meghan Markle is facing right now. The mainstream media called it a clerical error, a simple lost check. They lied. What is unraveling behind the scenes is not a mistake. It is reportedly a full-scale forensic audit. Sources close to the investigation suggest that authorities are looking for a missing financial link, millions of dollars that vanished between the glossy fundraising galas and the actual bank balance. This scandal has become the nuclear option that Princess Anne warned about years ago. It has turned the Sussex dream into a legal nightmare that has reportedly forced Harry and Meghan into a strategic separation. Harry is no longer just a prince in exile. He is a man walking into a visa trap that could see him deported. Princess Anne reveals truth about Archewell missing millions, exposing the shocking financial discrepancy that has triggered a massive legal investigation. As authorities freeze assets, we uncover where the money really went and why this scandal threatens Prince Harry's future in America. Tonight, we're analyzing the forensic audit behind the Archewell Foundation scandal, where donations plummeted from $13 million to just $2 million. Princess Anne has reportedly stepped in to protect the crown as Meghan Markle faces allegations of financial mismanagement. We're also exploring the strategic separation theory and how these missing millions could lead to a visa nightmare for Prince Harry. The Archewell dream has officially become a legal crisis. Do not click away. Why has the Iron Ant taken control of the situation? And where did the missing millions actually go? We're opening the files on the Archewell papers right now. Let's start with the numbers that prove this isn't just a clerical error, it's financial catastrophe. To understand the panic currently gripping Montecito, you don't need to listen to the rumors. You simply need to look at the tax returns. Numbers, unlike PR statements, do not know how to lie. When Archewell launched, it promised to be a billion-dollar empire of compassion. But the official tax filings tell a story of catastrophic decline. In 2021, the foundation raised a staggering $13 million. But in 2022, that number plummeted to just $2 million. That is not a dip. That is a freefall. Even worse, the records show the foundation was operating at a loss exceeding $674,000. How does a global charity run by the most famous couple on earth lose money faster than it can raise it? This is where the story shifts from incompetence to forensic investigation. The official excuse from the Sussex camp was that the delinquency notice was triggered by a simple clerical error, a $200 renewal check that was supposedly lost in the mail. But financial experts and insiders aren't buying it. You don't get slapped with a delinquency notice and a ban on spending funds just because of a missing envelope. You get it when the numbers don't add up. An anonymous source from within the Attorney General's office reportedly described the investigation as peeling an onion, revealing layers of influence peddling where donor dollars seem to fuel more than just goodwill. The core of the investigation focuses on a specific murky question. Where is the line between charity and lifestyle? Insiders suggest that audits uncovered discrepancies where funds were allegedly funneled toward initiatives that intertwined too closely with the couple's lucrative commercial deals, specifically their contracts with Netflix and Spotify. Essentially, the accusation is that the charity was being used to subsidize their brand building. Imagine soliciting millions for humanitarian aid, but using the infrastructure to support your own Hollywood career. That is not just unethical. In the eyes of the California Department of Justice, it is a potential violation of stringent charity regulations. The missing millions aren't necessarily in a suitcase. They are buried in administrative costs, travel expenses for royal-style tours, and PR campaigns designed to make Harry and Meghan look like global leaders. Think about what this means practically. Donors gave money believing it would go toward charitable work, helping communities, supporting causes. But if those funds were instead used to pay for Harry and Meghan's lifestyle, their travel, their branding efforts. That's not charity. That's fraud. And that's exactly what investigators are reportedly examining. Not whether a check got lost in the mail, but whether millions of dollars were systematically diverted from charitable purposes to support Harry and Meghan's personal empire building. Let's break down the specific red flags that triggered this investigation. First, the catastrophic drop in donations from 13 million to 2 million in a single year. That kind of collapse doesn't happen to legitimate charities with transparent operations. It happens when donors lose confidence, when word spreads that something isn't right with how money is being used. Second, the operating loss of over $600,000. How does a foundation with access to the most famous couple on earth, with connections to billionaires and celebrities, with media coverage that most charities would kill for, somehow lose money? Where did those funds go if not to actual charitable work? Third, the delinquency notice itself. California doesn't shut down foundations over $200 fees. They shut them down when compliance issues suggest deeper problems with financial management and transparency. And fourth, the timing. This delinquency notice came right as Harry and Meghan were facing increasing scrutiny over their failed Netflix and Spotify deals, their lavish lifestyle, and questions about whether they were actually doing any meaningful charitable work or just using the foundation as a tax-advantaged PR vehicle. All of these factors together paint a picture not of simple incompetence, but of systematic misuse of charitable funds for personal benefit. But while Meghan was reportedly trying to fix the books, someone across the Atlantic was watching. And she had seen enough. Comment below if you think this is just a clerical error or if you believe there's real financial misconduct happening at Archewell. When we come back, we're examining Princess Anne's response to this scandal, and why her intervention represents the royal family cutting ties with Harry and Meghan permanently. Stay with us. While lawyers in California were scrambling to find lost checks, a far more dangerous meeting was taking place 5,000 miles away. It didn't happen in the tourist-filled halls of Buckingham Palace, but behind the stone walls of Gatcombe Park, the private estate of the Princess Royal. Princess Anne has long been known as the enforcer of the House of Windsor. When the delinquency news broke, she didn't call a PR team. She reportedly called a war council. Sources suggest that King Charles, heartbroken by the widening rift with his son and focused on his own health battles, has increasingly deferred to Anne's unyielding counsel. He is the monarch. But in this crisis, Anne is the general. On the mahogany table at Gatcombe sat a dossier titled Archewell Risk Assessment. For Anne, this was never about a $200 fee. It was about the misuse of royal association. Insiders reveal that Anne viewed the Archewell delinquency not as a mere administrative mishap, but as a deliberate affront to royal integrity. She had warned Meghan Markle years ago, right at the beginning, that being a royal was a duty-bound job, not a shortcut to fame or fortune. She saw the foundation's current woes as the ultimate confirmation of her early fears that the Sussexes were building a brand on quicksand. The atmosphere in the room was described as electric and charged. The delinquent label slapped on a royal-affiliated charity was a PR contamination that threatened to infect the other legitimate patronages of the monarchy. Anne reportedly urged a swift severance. Her logic was brutal but sound. If the foundation is under legal review for potentially blurring the lines between charitable work and personal gain, the palace must cut the cord immediately to avoid being dragged into the lawsuit. This summit resulted in a rumored ultimatum delivered directly to Prince Harry. Princess Anne is not one to mince words. During a tense private communication, possibly during a rare UK visit or a secure call, she reportedly delivered a stark choice to her nephew. Choose duty to your heritage or continue drifting in this chaos. She made it clear the palace would no longer cover for them. They would not issue statements of support. The royal shield was being withdrawn. The message was a declaration of separation, both marital and institutional, and essentially told Harry that he could not save both his marriage and his reputation. The foundation's collapse was the catalyst, but the decision to isolate the Sussexes was the strategy. Think about the weight of that ultimatum. Harry has spent the last 5 years trying to maintain some connection to his family while also supporting Meghan's ambitions. He's tried to have it both ways, keeping royal titles while building a commercial empire, maintaining family ties while publicly criticizing the institution. And Princess Anne just told him that game is over. You're either in or you're out. You're either a working royal committed to duty, or you're on your own dealing with the consequences of the choices you've made. That's not a suggestion. That's an ultimatum. And it came from someone who has no patience for the kind of strategic ambiguity Harry has been trying to maintain. As the meeting concluded, a new directive was issued to palace courtiers. Containment. The Sussexes were to be treated like a toxic spill, isolated to prevent contamination of the broader royal family's reputation and charitable work. But while Anne was fortifying the castle walls in England, Harry was waking up to a terrifying reality in America. The legal probe into Archewell had triggered a domino effect that was about to threaten the one thing he needs most to stay in the United States, his visa. Comment below if you think Princess Anne is being too harsh or if she's doing what's necessary to protect the monarchy. When we come back, we're examining the visa nightmare that Harry is facing, and why this scandal could result in him being deported from the country he's called home for the past 5 years. Stay with us. While Meghan was reportedly consulting with her PR teams to save the brand, Prince Harry was facing a much darker reality. He wasn't just worrying about a bad headline. He was staring down the barrel of a potential deportation crisis. You have to understand the fragility of Harry's position. He is a duke in Britain. But in the eyes of the United States Department of Homeland Security, he is simply a visa holder. And visa holders are subject to strict standards regarding good moral character and adherence to the law. The delinquency notice slapped on Archewell is not just a charity issue. It is a legal red flag. As a director of the foundation, Harry is legally responsible for its operations. If the ongoing legal review or the deeper probes by the California Attorney General conclude that there was misuse of funds or fraudulent solicitation, Harry could be implicated in financial misconduct. For a non-citizen, being tied to an organization under investigation for financial impropriety is a nightmare scenario. Legal experts warned that if the probe escalates into a federal matter, echoing the intensity of the queries already raised in Florida, Harry's visa renewal could be in serious jeopardy. Sources indicate that Harry has been frantically fighting visa battles, terrified that a single legal misstep could see his American dream revoked. Imagine the irony. The prince who fled the cage of the monarchy might find himself evicted from the land of freedom he chose instead. Think about how devastating this would be for Harry personally. He gave up everything to move to America with Meghan. He walked away from his family, his role, his purpose within the institution. He sacrificed relationships with his father and brother. He became estranged from cousins and extended family who used to be close to him. All of that was predicated on building a new life in America. A life where he could be independent, financially successful, and free from the constraints of royal protocol. But if his visa gets revoked because of the Archewell scandal, all of those sacrifices were for nothing. He loses his American life, but he's already burned the bridges back to his British life. He would be a man without a country, unable to stay in America but unwelcome in Britain, caught in a limbo of his own making. And the worst part is that this isn't theoretical. Immigration lawyers who have examined Harry's situation confirm that being a director of an organization found to have engaged in financial misconduct is absolutely grounds for visa denial or revocation. The United States takes charity fraud very seriously. If Archewell is determined to have misused donor funds, everyone involved in leadership becomes legally liable. And for someone on a visa, that legal liability creates immigration consequences that citizens don't face. Harry is reportedly caught in a crossfire between his loyalty to his wife and the terrifying realization that his life in America is built on a fault line. He knows he needs an escape plan. And according to the latest reports from Montecito, he has already initiated one. He isn't sleeping at the Olive Garden mansion every night anymore. He has found a bunker. Comment below if you think Harry should be held responsible for Archewell's problems or if he's just a victim of Meghan's ambitions. When we come back, we're examining the strategic separation that sources say Harry has already begun, and why living in separate locations might be his only hope of protecting his visa status. Stay with us. When the legal walls started closing in, Harry's advisors reportedly gave him one piece of brutal advice: distance yourself. And he didn't just distance himself legally. He distanced himself physically. This brings us to the hotel theory that is currently dominating private conversations in Hollywood. For months, reliable sources have whispered that the Duke and Duchess are living increasingly separate lives. While their PR team works overtime to present a united front, the reality on the ground tells a very different story. Harry has been spotted alone frequently, such as at polo matches in Aspen, where observers noted his face was etched with quiet longing. Meanwhile, Meghan has been powering through solo red carpet events in Hollywood, her smile polished but her eyes distant. But the separation goes deeper than just solo outings. Reports suggest that Harry has been spending nights away from their Montecito mansion, seeking refuge in exclusive high-security locations like the San Vicente bungalows in West Hollywood. Why hide in a hotel? Because in a federal investigation, proximity is liability. Legal experts theorize that this is a strategic separation. By establishing a separate residence, Harry can argue in court and to immigration officials that he was not involved in the day-to-day operations of Archewell during the period of alleged mismanagement. He is effectively building a firewall between his visa status and his wife's business decisions. The delinquency notice served as the tipping point, the straw that broke the camel's back. Insiders describe heated arguments behind closed doors, with Harry caught between loyalty to his wife and the terrifying realization that his legacy is being destroyed. He viewed the financial mess as a simple clerical error that could be fixed, while Meghan reportedly suspected sabotage and demanded a fight. This fundamental difference in how to handle the crisis shattered their unity. Couples therapy sessions, once a beacon of hope, reportedly crumbled under the strain by the fall of 2025. The noise from the rumor mill is deafening. Betting odds on a divorce skyrocketed, hitting plus 300 by the end of the year. But the most explosive report comes from sources claiming that divorce papers may have already been filed discreetly in a California courthouse amid the November rumors. These papers allegedly cite irreconcilable differences supercharged by the scandal. But unlike a messy Hollywood breakup, this split appears to be a calculated survival maneuver. Harry is reportedly yearning for his UK roots, desperate to reconnect with the Invictus Games and the family ties he can't fully sever. He has realized that he cannot save Archewell. The brand is toxic. The only thing he can save now is himself. While Meghan stays in Montecito to fight the lawsuits and manage her American Riviera Orchard brand, Harry is sitting in a quiet room, perhaps looking at old photos, wondering what if. He is alone. And for the first time in years, he is making decisions without Meghan whispering in his ear. Think about the emotional devastation of this situation. Harry left everything for Meghan. He chose her over his family, over his duty, over his entire identity as a working royal. And now he's realizing that the life they built together might cost him everything. His visa, his reputation, his freedom to stay in the country he chose. The strategic separation isn't just about protecting his legal position. It's about Harry finally seeing clearly what he's been too close to see for years. That Meghan's ambitions have consequences. That building an empire on royal status while attacking the institution that provided that status was always going to end badly. And that he's the one who will pay the price if he doesn't create distance between himself and the foundation that's now under criminal investigation. Comment below if you think Harry and Meghan will actually divorce, or if this is just a temporary crisis they'll weather together. When we come back, we're examining how Hollywood has turned its back on Meghan, and why the silence from people who used to be her allies speaks louder than any public criticism. Stay with us. But as Harry pulls away, Meghan is left on an island facing the legal storm without her prince. And the industry she sacrificed everything to conquer is starting to turn its back on her. If the legal battles were a fire, the reaction from Hollywood was the oxygen being sucked out of the room. Meghan Markle promised to build an empire. She launched American Riviera Orchard, hoping to become the next Martha Stewart. She positioned herself as a global thought leader. But in the entertainment industry, reputation is currency. And right now, the Sussex currency has crashed. The fallout from the Archewell scandal didn't just ripple. It erupted like a volcano, scorching the couple's once polished image. But the most terrifying part for Meghan wasn't the noise. It was the silence. Hollywood's glitterati, the very people who were once eager for red carpet alliances, began distancing themselves amid the escalating lawsuit. Where is Oprah Winfrey? Once their staunchest ally, the media mogul has notably stayed silent as the scandal unfolds. Where are the A-list dinners with the Clooneys? Gone. One Montecito insider lamented to the press, the isolation has hit them hard. Friends are vanishing like shadows at dawn. Why? Because Hollywood is a business. No studio executive, no CEO, and no A-list star wants to be photographed next to a delinquent charity currently under investigation by the Attorney General. The Archewell brand has become radioactive. The media landscape, which Meghan hoped to control, has turned on her with savage precision. Even across the pond, the New York Times ran a scathing op-ed calling the saga a cautionary tale of post-royal hubris. In the UK, the Daily Mail branded Archewell opportunistic at best and fraudulent at worst. This toxicity has bled into Meghan's business ventures. Sources indicate that her lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, is struggling to find a CEO. Who would want to captain a ship that is already taking on water? Even in Nigeria, where the couple recently touted their partnerships, local media expressed a sense of betrayal, with one outlet asking, "Was our goodwill exploited?" The numbers confirm the collapse. A YouGov poll in late 2025 showed their approval ratings in the UK plummeting to historic lows, only 22% favorable, down from 45% pre-scandal. Social media became a battlefield, exploding with hashtags like Archewell fail and Sussex split. Meghan Markle is now facing her worst nightmare. She is alone on her orchard. Harry has mentally checked out, seeking an escape route back to London. Her friends have ghosted her. And the global empire she sacrificed her royal life to build is now nothing more than a delinquency notice and a stack of unsold jam jars. She wanted to be the queen of Hollywood. Instead, she has become its cautionary tale. Think about how completely Meghan's situation has reversed. Just a few years ago, she was the most sought-after interview in media. Oprah gave her a global platform. Netflix and Spotify signed massive deals. She had access to every red carpet, every elite event, every powerful person in Hollywood. And now? Silence. The same people who courted her are pretending they never knew her. The deals have collapsed. The projects have failed. And the one thing she had left, the Archewell Foundation that was supposed to be her legacy, is under criminal investigation. That's not just a fall from grace. That's a complete demolition of everything she tried to build. And the silence from Hollywood speaks volumes. Because if people believed Meghan was being unfairly targeted, if they thought this was just a witch hunt or bad luck, they would defend her. They would speak out. They would offer support. The fact that everyone is staying quiet tells you what they really think. That Archewell's problems are real. That Meghan's reputation is toxic. And that associating with her right now is career suicide. Comment below if you think Meghan can rebuild her reputation or if this scandal has permanently destroyed her Hollywood dreams. When we come back, we're wrapping up with what this scandal means for both Harry and Meghan's futures. And why Princess Anne might have just saved Harry's life by forcing this separation. Stay with us. In the end, Princess Anne was right. She warned them years ago that you cannot treat the monarchy like a celebrity endorsement deal. The collapse of Archewell is not just a financial scandal. It is the inevitable collapse of a house built on sand. There is a profound life lesson here for all of us. We live in an age that glorifies hustle and personal branding. But the Queen and Princess Anne represent a timeless truth. Integrity is the only currency that matters. You can buy PR. You can buy awards. And you can buy silence. But you cannot buy respect. When the lights go out and the cameras stop flashing, all you have left is your name. And sadly, the Sussex name is now printed on a delinquency notice. From my personal perspective, Princess and isn't the villain of this story. She is the savior. By forcing this separation, whether it is financial or marital, she is giving Harry the only thing that can save him, a reality check. She is burning the bridge to Hollywood, so he has no choice but to swim back to the shore of duty. It is harsh love, but it is the only love that works in the House of Windsor. Harry is now facing the ultimate choice. Go down with the ship he helped build, or grab the lifeline his aunt is throwing him. Think about what Harry's life looks like now versus what it could have been. If he had stayed in Britain, continued his work with Invictus Games, maintained his military connections, supported his father as King Charles took the throne, he would be respected, valued, and purposeful. Instead, he's hiding in hotels, fighting visa battles, watching his foundation collapse under criminal investigation, and facing the possibility of divorce from the woman he gave up everything for. That's the consequence of choosing celebrity over duty, of prioritizing brand building over service, of listening to someone who saw the monarchy as a platform rather than a responsibility. And Princess Anne saw this coming years ago. She warned Meghan that royal life was about duty, not fame. She told Harry that you can't have it both ways. And now that her predictions have come true in the most devastating way possible, she's offering Harry one last chance to save himself. By cutting ties with Archewell, by distancing himself from Meghan's ambitions, by returning to Britain and the values he was raised with. It's not an easy path. It requires admitting he was wrong, acknowledging that the last 5 years were a mistake, accepting that he sacrificed everything for a dream that was never real. But it's the only path that leads to redemption. The only way Harry can rebuild his reputation and find purpose again. The question is whether he has the courage to take it. As this legal storm rages, I need your verdict on the prince's fate. Do you think Prince Harry should be held equally responsible for the alleged financial mismanagement of Archewell? Or is he just a naive victim of his own wife's ambition? Tell me your honest opinion in the comments. Type guilty if you knew what was happening. Type victim if you think he was blind to Meghan's schemes. Because this isn't just about money. It's about whether Harry was complicit in using a charity to fund his lifestyle, or whether he was manipulated by someone who saw him as a means to an end. The truth about Archewell's missing millions will eventually emerge. The investigation will conclude. The legal proceedings will determine who's responsible and what consequences they face. But the deeper truth is already clear. Harry and Meghan tried to build an empire on royal status while attacking the institution that gave them that status. They tried to have it both ways, keeping the titles and prestige while rejecting the duty and service. And that was always going to end in disaster. Princess Anne knew it. The Queen knew it. And deep down, Harry probably knew it too. The only question now is whether he'll admit it before it's too late to save himself. If you value the truth over the tabloid spin, please hit the like button and subscribe. We'll be right here when the next chapter of this story breaks. Because one thing is certain, this scandal is far from over. And the full truth about what happened to Archewell's millions is still waiting to be exposed. Until next time, remember that integrity matters more than image. And when you build your life on sand, don't be surprised when the foundation collapses.